I need all my scammer niggas, bring that cash out.
This is not normal. I'm like, something is wrong with me. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. And I waited till like, this was like 4 a.m. It was like 7 o'clock and it was still going on. So I'm like, let me just go to the hospital. So I went and they're like, you're going through ovulation pains. I was like, what? This has never happened to me before, ever in my life.
What?
Ovulation
what is
pain?
that? Yeah,
and
like
so now
I'm
gonna get period cramps and ovulation pain. Like now what?
Gosh, just be careful because I've been hearing a lot of like horror stories about like women of color going to the hospital with issues like that, and now then they tell them that like they have something wrong with the ovaries and their ovaries need to be removed, and then they like are taking their ovaries and doing experiments and on their ovaries.
Well,
so,
they
like,
did do an ultrasound on me because they thought that maybe my ovary had flipped. And they're like, sometimes if your ovary flips, it can cause such a big cramp that it wakes you up out of your sleep. What? But they said that it wasn't that. But I'm definitely going to go to a specialist and just make sure I'm okay, because now I'm scared because I've never had cramps like that in my life. Like, I've never experienced that. That was scary. Like, I couldn't even get out of bed. It was so bad.
They said that your uterus can flip?
Yeah, your ovary can flip.
What?
I know.
Right.
I've never heard of
I'm
it
like,
in my life.
being a vagina owner and knowing so many vagina owners, I have never, ever heard of what?
That's what the doctor told me when I went. She was like, your ovary might have flipped, so we're going to do an ultrasound. Because they did an ultrasound on me to make sure that my ovary did not flip.
Also, bodies are so weird. Like, we're really just like bags of meat. Like, what the fuck is even happening internally?
That's
I don't know.
so
but
wild.
It's been terrible.
Let me put my thing on silent.
Like, I had to go to the hospital. I've never had cramps where I felt like I needed to go to the hospital. And I feel like as I get older, my cramps just get worse and worse. Like, I remember having like cramps when I was younger, but never to this extent. Now it's like a week long. I'm in pain. I'm fatigued. I don't feel like doing anything. I'm just lazy as It's like an entire week of just that. My stomach hurts every single day. I have no appetite. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah, my period lately has been making me feel like handicapped. Like, legitimately, I feel like I cannot, no matter how hard I try to like have motivation and do things and like today, I haven't left the house in 2 days. Like, haven't left the house. Well, like yesterday, I think I walked downstairs to do something, but like I really haven't left the house because I do not have the energy to do so at all. No matter how hard I try, I can't keep my eyes open at like.
Me neither.
Do y'all think it's an aging thing? Do you think it's because we're getting older that like our periods are just like beating our ass or something? Or like, do you think it's like because everybody's also additionally stressed out? Like, what the fuck do you think is happening?
I have no idea. It could be stress on top of everything, but I don't know. This has been happening a lot to me like this year though, like before like COVID started. Like, I remember this happening like kind of like last year and then getting into this year. So this has been going on for me for a while, so I wouldn't say it's like this necessarily, but maybe this doesn't also help it. Like,
right.
I don't know.
And I feel like maybe my mom has told me like, you know, as you get older, your period definitely like changes. Like when she was younger, she's like, my period was like 2-3 days and it was not a problem and it was just no problem. And then the older you get, I got cramps, my period got longer. And like, I feel like once I turned 25, like for some reason, my period just switched and that's when my period got longer and like all those things. But now my period actually kind of, other than the tired, like the fatigue that is just extreme, my period's gotten like shorter. It's like, I don't know. Who freaking knows?
Also, are y'all on birth control or no?
No.
And have y'all ever been, and has that ever affected or impacted your periods?
I was on birth control when I turned, like, once I was able to get it by myself. I think you have to be like 18 or something like that. I don't know how old you gotta be to get your own birth control, but I got it when I was 18, like right out of high school. And no, it didn't really affect my period. It just like made it, because I think like when you take it, like the last 4 are like non-birth control pills, and that's when you're supposed to get your period. Then I just knew when I was gonna get my period, but it didn't really change my period. It did change how wet I could get. Like for a while when I was on birth control, I could not get wet at all. Like it was the weirdest shit ever, and I didn't get back to be able to get wet until I got off birth control.
So it was a hormonal birth control.
Yeah.
When I was on birth control, I got on birth control straight out of high school too. It was like it was a gift my mom gave me when I went to college. Like before I moved into my dorm, she got me a little like compact mirror with a condom in it, and then it was a birth control prescription. And I was like, oh, this is great.
Fire. That's fire.
Yeah. And so I got on birth control as soon as I got out of high school. And I don't even think I started taking it because I wasn't like, when I went fresh straight to college, I wasn't like that. So I was like, I'm not going to take birth control because like, you know, I'm going to go to college and I'm going to be like this good girl and da-da-da-da. And then college happened. And then I got on birth control and my period was just like, you know, they tell you like the first 3 months, it takes a while for your body to get acclimated to the birth control. So then I was having like spotting and little things like that. When I got on the NuvaRing, because of whatever, I ended up switching and I tried the NuvaRing, that made me smell. Like I did not like NuvaRing. It gave me like a stench. I don't know why. I don't know what was in it, but I got a stench and I didn't like it. And then I also didn't like it because my partners told me that they felt it during sex.
Yeah.
So
I didn't like it too. And when I was in college also.
Did it pop out during sex?
They could definitely feel it during sex. Sometimes we would just take it out, which is fine. Other times it would come out, like upon removal of the it would and like I would find it on the floor. It was one of my least favorite kinds of birth control, also because the insertion process
too much
for me. Yeah, it was like a drag. I don't really like fingers inside my vagina, so like having to do that myself was a nightmare.
Yeah.
You have to like shove. I never used NuvaRing. You have to like shove it in there.
You have to like fold it and like.
Yes, and up to sit to go up your like vaginal canal and to sit right before your cervix.
So you have to push it deep.
That's really deep. You know, like you know how when you don't put a tampon up as far as you can feel it. It's even farther than that because tampons don't be going all the way back to your cervix. But NuvaRings are supposed to be squeezed, and then when they get back there, they're supposed to sit horizontal, but like a circle. So they gotta like literally go all the way back, or they're just sitting in your and you can feel it, and it feels weird.
Right. It has to, because I think that it's when you put it in, it's like this, and it has to open up like this. Yeah. So it has to go up enough so that it can open back up into the circle. Exactly. And it sucks. It sucks. Are you on birth control, Raquel?
No, I haven't been on birth control at least since I've been in Miami. So it's been like 6 or 7 years.
Oh, dang. Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah. I think I stopped in college, maybe my junior or senior year of college. I think it was actually the ring that was like, I'm over this. And then, and then it just didn't. And then really I learned how to just like track my period. So it didn't seem like I like the period tracking kind of way of doing things because not only do I know when I'm going to get my period, I also know when I'm like fertile, which I think is important to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just track it. And then I started using this, I forgot what it's called. It's an actual, like, they say it's a birth control. That's what they say that they are. I gotta find the name. I follow them on Instagram. But you basically just take your temperature every morning and log it in. And it's supposed to like calculate like when you're ovulating, when you're fertile, and all that stuff.
Oh,
I just
wow.
gotta figure out what the name of it. Oh, Natural Cycles. It's like $10 a month for the app, and they send you a thermometer. And every morning before you get up, you just like take your temperature, you type it in, and it tells you like, oh, you're ovulating, don't have sex, or don't get in, or whatever. It's cool. It's cool. I like it. It's cute.
That is cute.
Oh.
It's like I have a period tracker, and I actively use my period tracker, but for some reason life always just like happens to me. And it's not that like I don't have any like accidents or anything like that. Like I know, okay, my period's about to come in 3 days, my period's about to come in 2 days. But then like when it comes out, I'm never prepared. Like me taking over the story and my period was on, and I'm like, damn it, like that's the one thing that I said I was gonna do was do some OnlyFans. And then my period's on, and it's like not even on a light date. Like my period is on, so I couldn't do nothing. And it's like that's such an inconvenience. Just an inconvenience.
Do y'all ever just free bleed?
No.
No, do you? I literally just heard about this because I'm trying to get like all spiritual and all those other things. And so like that's something that like technically pads are bad for you, tampons are bad for you. Even if you get organic pads, they're bad for you. So it's like, have you?
Yeah. So it's interesting because when I was growing up, I thought that pads were disgusting. Like I think that probably, even though it's like a classes piece, like I thought you were poorer if you used pads. And I also had a classmate who used pads, and I think she was poor. Maybe that's where I got it from. And she smelled really bad because I think that she would use like the same pad like all day or maybe even multiple days, probably because of all she could afford. And she smelled really bad. So I had like a really bad association with pads, and I only used, like, my mom taught me how to use tampons immediately, so that was like just right off the bat what I was doing. And then probably like a few years ago, I don't even really know what started it. I think it was more so of you know how when you come on your period in the morning and like there's blood on the bed and there's blood in your pants and it's like, oh, now I gotta take a shower, gotta clean everything, it's, whatever. One day I was like, I'm not doing that. I really think it's probably a lazy thing. I was like, it. And I just did it. So I just like left my like sweatpants on and just was in that bleeding. And then I was like, this is, okay. But then what happened was I saw on Twitter white women talking about free bleeding, and then I was like, oh, this is probably disgusting, and let me not do this. Because if unhygienic and nasty and are nasty, and so I thought it was probably just some disgusting. And then I moved into like the spiritual side of it, which is more like, like you said, like the tampons are like bad for your, and apparently they make your period last longer, or they make your cramps, something like they do shit to your body. And I didn't. So I was like, okay, noted. So then I started using pads, which is like the step before free bleeding, essentially, because now you don't got nothing in you, you're just letting it all come out. And using pads is kind of a nightmare because they feel gross after a while too. And so probably within the last 2 years, 3 years solid. Yeah. When I'm in the house.
So how does that work though? Like, do you up your like furniture?
Sometimes.
But like, so you just have like stain, because like the type of couch I have, like I would up my couch. You know what I mean? Like I would mess it up really bad.
So for my bed, I don't give a I bleed all over my sheets and I don't care because I wash them and everything comes out. For my couch and other seating, or like when I don't have a car anymore, I sold my car, but when I have my car, I would just sit on something. So I have left the house when I've been free bleeding, I guess, because I put a towel down in the car. When I'm in the house though, I put like blankets down. So I have blankets that I'm gonna wrap myself up in a blanket so I'm warm, and I'm also gonna be bleeding. But the thing is, I think that we think it's gonna be way more than it really is, because it's not like I'm like a snail trail of blood.
Right.
It's literally just like in my sweatpants, I got hella blood-stained sweatpants. And then if I sit down on something with nothing, it'll be like maybe like a mark this big, even if I sit there for hours, it won't become like this big ass puddle. It'll be like this.
Not me. My period is very, very heavy on like day 2. And like,
it doesn't like soak, like it's not like,
like I change my pads very often throughout the day because my pads get full like often. And I mean, I've gotten, you know, they're like, if your pads get so full, you need to get bigger pads. Da, 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 da. So I wear overnight pads every day for my period because I don't wear tampons. Well, I try not to wear tampons anymore. But I still my period is like day 2. There's no way in hell that I can just not. I have to change my pads so many times. Maybe day 3, maybe day 1, but day 2.
Yeah. Like
I will say, like, the last day of my period, I don't wear pads usually. Like, I'll just put on a panty liner.
Right.
If anything. So sometimes, like, I will be bleeding and I'll be like, whatever, because I have the panty liner on.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, blood makes me a little wheezy and woozy. So I don't think I'd be cool. I mean, like, I like the concept of it, though. Like, whatever, fuck it. But I don't know. I don't like blood. So I don't think I feel comfortable.
They have period panties.
we do.
Yeah, I was gonna say they have period panties that you could. I would wear that. Those I would use.
It's like a pad. Because when you think about it, it's like a pad.
Exactly. I was gonna say it's really like the same thing, and I think that I'm on the last day of my period, and I have been bleeding since like Monday, I think, and I have free blood the entire time, and it's basically, I don't know, like. I feel like you have to do it once and then you can judge like what days could I do it on or what days could I not, or even do I this at all, because like if you don't fuck with blood, maybe the entire thing would just be disgusting. But yeah, so right now my bed is bloody as and I just did laundry today, which had like 2 or 3 shorts and leggings that are blood full and 2 sweatpants that are blood full. And I have a blanket on the couch that has blood on it because I'm not done yet, but I'll wash that probably tomorrow. I don't know. I think it is gross, but it's also not gross. And I think
it's your body.
Yeah, I think a part of it, because it's like we think about how we are taught about periods in our body, so that for sure plays into it. And I also don't think that it's like hygienic to be bleeding in public all over the place, or like, you know, something like that. But I just feel like if you're in the crib, and if you're in the crib with like your partner, your family, or whatever, like, I don't know. And it just feels better, at least for me. I don't want to wear pads because I think that now they are uncomfortable to me. And I definitely am not with tampons. So it's like, I don't know. But I will say, I'm half white. So I feel like I'm not to be trusted on hygiene advice, to be completely honest. But I love it. It makes me feel good. It makes my, like, I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's more comfortable for you, and especially on your period, I mean, whatever. Like,
that's definitely so interesting that we even talked about this, because I literally, like, maybe 3 or 4 days ago, or no, maybe that was last week, but I was watching something and this woman was talking about like just like womb care in general, and she was just saying how basically anything that is wrong with your period has something, your body is telling you something else is wrong. So like you need to change your diet, or you need to exercise, or like something like that is happening, you know. And so she was saying like tampons can mess up your period, and the pads can mess up your period, and things like, you know, your period really should only be 3 to 4 days. If it's any more than 4 days, and that's like, you know, they said, this is what she got me when she said things are common, but that doesn't mean that they're normal. Like there are things that would happen with women's periods all the time, but that's not necessarily what your body is supposed to be doing. We've just been told that, like, yeah, like you clot on your period. Yeah, like that's normal to have big clots come out of your period. She said, yeah, it's common, but that's really not supposed to happen on your period. You know, that's something else, and all these other things. But you know, who knows who's right? You know, the internet, whatever you want to find, whatever you search for, you will find.
You will find it.
Who knows what's right? Who knows?
Yeah. And I will say for sure, similar similar to wearing pads, there is a smell when you free bleed because you're just your shorts is full of blood. But to lean more on that I'm disgusting, I like my smells. Like, I like how my period smells. I like how my vagina smells when it's stinky. So like there, and I also do think it helps me feel connected to my body because then I'm aware of what is, what the is going on, and I can see my blood and I can see like what is something's happening or like something, it just it increases that piece of it, I think, as well. So I don't know, but I know at first I really did think it, like when I saw that the white women were doing it, I was like, this is probably some and I also did see that Erica Hart, who is a sex educator, I don't know their pronouns. I think that they tweeted something about like, I dropped my blood, something. And I don't know if they were free bleeding, but it was something about like blood. And they essentially like left it on the floor in like the public bathroom, like a blood drop. And they were trying to be like, we love our period blood.
Yeah.
Like, that's dirty as that's unhygienic. That's like, what's the word? Like you'd put your blood in a biohazard thing if you were in the doctor's office. Like,
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's true. And so you shouldn't be just like bleeding all over the place in public. But yeah. I think another thing is that it also, you know how when you were younger and you first got your period, or even still now, you're like preoccupied with whether or not you have a blood stain on your pants, like in public.
Yeah.
It also helped me like work through that because when I go out in public, whether I'm wearing a tampon pad or am free bleeding, but not super heavy days. But either way, I don't care anymore if I have blood. I don't give a So if I were to be in Publix and there was a stain of blood on my shorts, I don't care. And that was such a huge like stressor for me when I was in like high school. Everything up until post college, basically.
Yeah.
After I graduated, like I was always like, oh, I don't want to know. I don't want anybody to see it. Oh, it's so embarrassing. And I was like, shit, I'm bleeding.
You're done.
Are you going to say something about it? And I actually have had stains before and no one has said anything. And I guess it's because people are embarrassed. And that's the whole point. So it's like, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. I like that whole idea of like being in touch with your body and your sense and because I'm very, maybe it is insecure. I'm very insecure about that, about my scent in general. Like I don't like smells. I don't like when my period smells weird. Like I hate that happens.
Why?
Like, because I don't like the smell. Like I don't like the smell. I think it smells bad. So like I don't like that. So like I just don't like it. And I do feel like sometimes I have like a disassociation with not just my vagina, but just like even my partner's vagina, just like the idea of the scent, because I don't like it. Like I don't care for it, not my own, not anybody's. And I also have a thing with like things on my hands, like in general. Like I don't like if I'm eating chicken wings, I wipe after every bite. Like after every bite, I wipe my hand because I don't like that feeling of things on my hands. So like I don't like. So then thinking about like blood and me having to like deal with that and it being on my hands, like that's another reason why I wanted to stop with tampons, because like I don't like that. I just don't. I don't. But I want to, especially with being in a relationship with a woman. Like I want to be more connected with that, and it's not that in my brain I don't understand that women's bodies smell, like your body freaking smells, right? And like that's just what happens, and I'm aware of that, but do I enjoy that? I don't.
I feel like if this pandemic has taught me nothing else, it has taught me what my vagina undisturbed smells like, because it literally has not had anything inside of it beyond like a couple of dildos a couple times for shooting in 9 months, meaning I have not done peroxide douches, I haven't done boric acid, I haven't had a yeast infection, which is noted, also interesting. So no monostat, no in there, no latex in there, minimal tampons in there. Like, so right now my vagina is like the purest of its scent, and it has a smell. And that's interesting because pre-pandemic, when I was having more action, I quite frequently did like peroxide douches, especially after my period, especially after I had seen clients, and especially when I have yeast infections. And that tends to clear out any smell.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I've always been a fan of smells. That's just a me thing. I think is also a piece of that I'm discussing, but to reclaim that, maybe I'm not. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I like my stink. I just love how I stink. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of period smells either. I'm just, yeah. I just don't like my period at all. It's very uncomfortable and just like, why?
What about regular vagina smells? So not period.
I've never actually really cared too much about if it smells like, okay, it's gonna go away, I guess. On this phone. Like, I've never, because I have a really sensitive in general, so it's not abnormal for me to have like a yeast infection, you know, a lot, or a BV or a lot or whatever. So I don't really mind it, because usually when I can smell something is when I know like, okay, I got BV or I have something going on. So I don't really care too much. So no one's ever really said anything to me either. And I know I've fucked a few times.
They won't.
Okay.
So,
well, I'll say this. When I was in college, I don't know what the was happening, or it wasn't BV or yeast infection, because I knew about that then. I think it honestly was just, you know how when you somebody raw and like you take on the smell of their dick in your vagina, like your vagina kind of starts to smell different. And I think maybe just something went wrong, like something went wrong, but my vagina was like very, very like not like when I say to y'all I like my stink, I don't really mean that I be like stinking. Y'all have been enough to know that like my don't be like reeking, right? So it's not like I'm saying I be stinky all the time. I'm just saying like if I stick my finger in my I play with my hair and I smell it, I like how that smells, and it smells like But when I was in college, something it literally was like, it was bad. And I had a boyfriend and we were all the time and whatever. And I remember talking to him about it because I'm like, I know that you smell this.
right.
Like, we can talk about it because I smell this. So I know you're smelling it. And he told me
that he liked it.
Listen, no, the opposite. He told me that the previous time that we had sex, that it smelled so bad that he faked it so we could stop.
Oh,
and I was like, why didn't you say something? First of all, so for context, he was a virgin before I met him. He was a Christian, Nigerian, very religious, like all that. So it wasn't in his like whatever wheelhouse to be talking about like smells or at all. But I was just like, you should have said something, because that's more embarrassing that you like
right.
Talking. And who, not just whatever. I never even thought about faking orgasms until that moment.
Facts. That's what I was saying. I was like, wow, that's a first. Dang. That does suck though. You know, like how people, and that's what I always try to tell my partner too, like, please just let me know. And I feel like I'm more annoying to her, because that's where I was going with that too, is that I want to be more in touch with my sense and my smells, because she doesn't give a right? Like she's like, come, like bring it here, like, and I'm just like, no. And that kind of like, that ruins the mood, you know. Sometimes I'm like, no, let me go rinse off first, let me go make sure, you know what I'm saying? Because like I feel like mainly for her, I want to be like my best self, and I would never want to come to you and to be like, damn, you stunk. And it's like, and then I'm like, I'll feel it sexy, let me put it in your face, and then it's like,
right.
don't wash off. So I'm like, I'd rather like save myself the embarrassment And so, but then it really just goes back to me, how I feel about my sense. Like, it's just me and how I feel about my sense. So maybe I just need to get on some probiotics or something and be like, I know I'm good because I'm taking care of myself.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I don't really mind this because like my normal, but like no BV, no yeast infection, nothing. Just have a type of smell to it. So I don't mind the scents because I can know, like, I can smell when something's wrong, and I know, like, okay, let me go to get my Metro, whatever it's called, the antibiotic to kill the BV and all that other stuff. So I don't really mind like that. I don't care. But like period blood smell, that I don't like the blood. I don't like the period blood smell. I don't with it.
It is different. It does have a little different twang to it.
A little kick. It's a little kick.
I feel like my take on smell is that if I'm about to, or even not, but if I like take off my pants and I'm getting like a strong whiff, that's how I know we need to take a shower or something. But like my regular relationship to smells like if I somebody and they come up to me to kiss me,
right?
I smell it and it's on my face and I'm like, oh, that's what the smell like today.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Prior to that moment, like while you're I wasn't like getting whiffs of but when they're in my face, I'm like, there it is. So I feel like that's how I gauge also, except for that time in college. That was some next level. That was something. But every other time though, yeah, it's like, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I agree. That's the smell that I don't care for. Like the regular smell. Like I know the smell. I know the smell. I know it. I'm very familiar with it.
How do you then? Because that's what
I barely do. That's how I don't do it often. I don't like to do it. I've always said that. I do not like to at all. And of course I do occasionally, but like I don't like to at all. And that has a big part to do with it. Like I don't. And then I also like with the
slime.
The slime, I don't like that residue. Like I don't care for that at all.
I hear you. I don't disagree. Honestly, I don't disagree. And I think I have always said have I said I don't like I know I said
you have.
Yeah. I know I said I'm not good at which also informs why I'm like not super a fan of it. And I think also what added to that for sure is not so much smell, but the slimy, the feeling. But what I will say is when I do, I actually don't think about that. So it's one of those things, I think similar to maybe like getting spit in my mouth. When I'm in the moment, I'm like, spit on my face, like spit on me, I'm a dirty. But when I'm just like sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, I let someone spit on me. And I feel the same way about like when I'm thinking about it, just like not I'm like, it's a thing, I don't think I've ever said to myself like, it's the smell or like so that's
Yeah, no, I always have, but I definitely know that it's a me thing. Like I know 100% that it's a me thing. Yes. I don't how to get out of that. I don't know. And I don't know that I will because it's just like it's literally a scent that I don't enjoy. Like it's not like I don't enjoy the smell. Nothing's gonna change to make me be like, "Ooh, this smells good now." No, like it smells the same.
What about? So like when do you get? It's not slimy, I guess, but it's
right. It's not. It is different. Like it's different. It's a clearer pathway. Like I feel like
that's true.
It's just a clearer pathway. I don't have to put my full like nose and face in it if I really don't want to. But I don't mind. But it also could be the slimy thing. It's really not it's not slimy. It's nice. It's just an open passage.
Yeah. Textures. So it's a texture thing also.
Yeah, no, the textures definitely me a lot. But
it's fair enough. Everybody got your preferences. You got your thing. I remember the first time that I That's definitely the first thing that I said to myself in my brain as I was doing it out. I will never forget. I ate my best friend's in her house, in her basement. It was me and her and two, I'm sure I've talked about this before on the podcast like years ago, but me and her and two of our other homegirls, and they were best friends, and they were each other out in the shower, and we were each other out on like the kitchen, I meant the bathroom sink. And I remember the first thing I thought in my head when I licked a for the first time was like, it's sudsy. It's like I was like, is there soap? And there wasn't, but it was her wetness. And I was like, that is a bizarre feeling.
Yeah, wetness is a weird feeling. I don't know how to, like, yeah. I remember when I first, so that was the first thing I noticed with her wetness, and it was like,
Yeah.
You can't describe it. It's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a literally slime. Like, it's mucus. It's
mucus. It's like
mucus,
slime.
and it's like snot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. But that just makes me think about like all the times that I tell like, you're not unless you, and I know that not all the time, because sometimes it's on dry, but like a lot of the times I'm dumb moist. So
yeah,
they're getting that. But you know what? No, some do care. But I think that I've mostly been blessed with the majority of that really hardcore. They love it.
Yeah.
They love it. They don't, I mean.
And then I wonder too, like, is it is it just something that they know that they're just gonna have to do, so they just learn to do it? Just like, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like, I expect to, not that it's delicious, because it's not. Like, and so, but it's just like, you know, I know I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm gonna do it. So that's it.
Well, what about on the face? Is there a texture thing there for you with that?
No.
See,
I don't know.
Misogyny. That's a little something is off.
I don't know.
I don't like the feeling. I don't like getting my face because I think it's disrespectful, but I definitely don't like I used to have a thing for see, that's misogyny. This is internalized misogyny.
I don't like and I don't like on my face. I really don't like in general, so.
You tweeted that, I think it was like a couple months ago, and wasn't that like a new, what's the word, revelation that you were like, you know what, I haven't in a long time, and
I haven't in a minute. I don't know, the last time I was when I was in Miami. And it was on, because I did it for work. It wasn't for pleasure, but that's really the last time I like, I really don't like it's not fun to me. You're already getting what else do you need? Like, what else do you need? Why do I need to do all that? I don't like it.
It is definitely an activity.
Do you not like it anymore, Raquel? Yeah.
I don't like no more at all. So right. I'm not doing nothing with no I'm not nothing. I don't know that I can say that I don't like no more, because like as you know somebody, I would consider myself like a little expert or something. I think I'm good at it and I like doing it. I also will not be no more. So
I don't know as much as I've been saying I still ain't it, so.
You still haven't one.
Not one. So I guess it's not like I literally and it's really not on purpose when we talk about like when we talked about like divesting from men and not like it's really not on purpose. And the pandemic has super helped me like has assisted with me not having men in my life. Yes. And I just don't like, I literally don't have any new enough men like old, I used to hang out with a big ass group. You did. And so it's like been there, done that, like, and I don't want any like I don't want nothing to do with any like that. So it's just like it just hasn't happened. So I'm just I once again going back to the spiritual side of like it's just not meant to be. It's just not meant to be. Who knows? I was watching something today, and they were talking about polygamy, right? And they were just talking about how that can work, and if in that community of the live I was on, just talking about how that might be something that's important for the future as far as procreating, and mainly for indigenous Black people, melanated people, how that's important to start to.
I don't know. They're lying. They're lying.
It is very Hotep.
Yes.
Side, very like it's important. But what it was, and there were two women actually who were speaking on it, and their whole thing was that it really has nothing to do with the man, right? Like it's not supposed to have anything to do with the man. It is the woman who is supposed to be in charge of that, and them building a community. It's that's how they build their community, is by literally allowing these men to procreate outside so they can have kids and they can continue to build their community. But it's the woman was saying that she was being introduced to a couple, and it was strictly the wife that dealt with all the business. She said the man had so much respect for the wife that he didn't even look her in the eye as the interviewer. Like, he didn't even look at her because he had nothing to do with it. Like, it has they were like saying that's the real issue with polygamy in the United States especially, is that it's so male centered, and that's not what it was originally set to be, like in Africa and all those places where the religious or spiritual side of it had nothing to do with the men. It's all about the women and them building their community. And I just thought that was super interesting to hear a different take that I never hear anymore. So
well, if it actually functions that way, that could be very useful. I mean, if it actually plays out like that, yeah.
Right. And that's how listen, the divine feminine, like, you cannot have a man without a woman. So, like, whatever.
Hold on. Have you been watching hella Hotel? Because you are sounding.
No. I've been watching very I've been watching a little bit of everything, honestly, because I'm just trying to. I want to know everything, or not want to know, but I'm accepting to everybody in, you know what I'm saying? And so I feel like everybody has a little bit of truth to their belief. Everybody's belief has a little bit of truth in it, so it's good to hear from everybody. It's good to hear from everybody's side. So I've been watching everything.
Be careful, please.
No, yeah, but seriously though, the divine feminine, we are here. Like, we are here. We are, like, we run this. Like, we don't need them but to procreate, and that's ultimately like what that was also like. We don't need men but to procreate. That is their only benefit.
And we don't need them to procreate neither, because we got hella trans and gender non-conforming people with dicks. So you ain't even in the picture no more. Hello.
That's so true. That is so true.
Right.
So true. So
my goal is to not have any men in my life in any capacity. Or let me say it specifically. My goal is to have no cishet men in my life in literally zero capacity. None.
Yeah.
I don't want you friends. I don't want to fuck you. I'm not interested in you. And, it feels really freeing to be at that point, because prior to a few months ago, the pandemic basically, and other contexts, trauma mainly, I was like, I'm like, it's like the typical like, but also I'm still dating and them, and I still would like to date and them. And although that had been dwindling, it still existed as a thing because I was still attracted. But I am not anymore. Like, I am not. I don't find them charming. They're nice to look at.
Mm-hmm.
But an attractive man. I don't feel nothing in my about it. I don't want you inside of me. I don't want to you. I don't want to even hear you really say it's nothing. There is nothing, and it feels, wow.
What a weight lifted off.
What a weight.
They're really they're terrible people. Like, they're really, like, I will say, like, for me, I don't really care too much about them, like, romantically. Like, I still, like, talk to them or whatever, but, like, I do enjoy f***ing them still. So I don't know if that's ever gonna go away. I hope, because I really don't f*** with them as people. Like, they're really
terrible.
I don't know, something's not right.
No. Not. It is.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can't even say, well, some men. No, it's like all of them. Like, something's not right with all of them.
Yes.
Like, this is not okay.
Literally, and I think another part of it beyond literally, you know, I think for me, the last relationship that I was in was abusive and ended up including lots of assault that I didn't realize was assault. And that's part of what ultimately made me so traumatized that I literally just am repulsed by cishet men and their bodies. Now I don't remember what I was gonna say. What did you say, V?
No, that something is wrong with all of them. That I don't care about them romantically like that anymore.
And she said it's not just
they're just kind of like, when I'm bored, like, I'll talk to them when I'm bored type shit. But it's not like, I really don't give a fuck about having like an actual relationship with them. I don't really care about that anymore. But I still them though.
Yes. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. And what I realized is, thank you, is when I really look back on all of my sexual encounters with cishet men and like really be honest with myself, like really, like for real.
Yeah.
It's not really ever that poppin'.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's literally just not. Like, I can think of like top 5, the best out of the horriblest hundreds of, right? But it's like, even when I'm getting it down to that dwindling like top 3, it's not like it was like I couldn't live with, like, do you know what I mean? Like, if I was to quantify it or whatever the word is, like, it's not like I had to have had that. That was an amazing experience. No, it was cool, but it wasn't even like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's really never that good, to be honest.
Like, it literally isn't. And the whole point is, if we're talking about like, that's all that they're having to offer is we're them. And them ain't even really that. It's like, so really, what am I doing here? Because I'm just going to be stressed out. I'm just going to feel drained. I'm just going to get a yeast infection. I'm just going to get pregnant. I'm just going to be lying to myself about the quality of this. Like,
it's all very mediocre.
Well, let's do this. The tip that we are intending on answering is our best sexual experiences. So if yours is with a cishet man, I'd love to hear it. And I'm going to think about.
Mine was not with a cishet man. Mine was with a woman.
Good.
Y'all
that
know
was
mine
my
was a woman.
best sexual experience was with a woman, and it was so random. It was on New Year's Eve. It was like, this was like 2015 or 2016. And my friend had rented out a hotel room, but she had friends from out of town come, and I had never met them. And so we were all in the hotel room. I didn't know that one of the girls was lesbian, like, but she was like cool, but she was like looking at me like the whole time. And like, I knew I liked women, but I had kissed women and messed around, but never like actually had sex with a woman at that point. And so the whole night, like, we went to this party. She was staring at me the whole night. We went to this party. We were drinking. We got super drunk. And she like was like, me and her were dancing on each other like the whole night, but nobody thought of it because, you know, like, girls get drunk and like start twerking on each other and nobody says anything. But like, she was putting her fingers up my and stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, like, that's what's happening. Then like, she took her like panties off at one point, and she was like, let's go back to the hotel room before all the girls, because we were all gonna sleep there. So she was like, let's leave them here and let's go back to the hotel room before they get back or whatever. So we literally ditched the friends. They didn't even know where we were. So we ditched them. We went back to the hotel room. And that was the first time I ever I did not know that I could. And she was just I don't know what the she was doing. I never had somebody like that before. That was the first time I too. It was a lot, but it was very good. Like I like 2 times and I was like, what the is this? And she was like, yeah, we never had that before. And I'm like, no, like this has never happened. Like what the so that was and then like she never spoke to me again. So I felt very upset, like you can't just make me 2 times and then like not talk to me again. Like what the but she was like, oh, tell your friend I said hey to my friend because we had the one mutual friend. And I'm like, tell her
you can tell me
her. And like she's just been ignoring me. Like what the but yeah, that was my best sexual experience because it was just I don't know what she was doing, but it was
to her. That and
right.
She must be cocky or something.
She was very cocky.
Yeah.
Because she kept telling me, like, you keep, like, because I had a boyfriend during that time, and I kept telling her, and she was like, he can't like me, so I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. To me, you're single. I was like, oh, okay.
You like that, like, you're right.
I was like, maybe he can. Let me see.